I like how they don't try that hard not to kill him, though. He goes to the house that's going to have a death laser hit it, and they're like, no. Oh, well.
Yeah, he's
I guess maybe he'll die.
Right now is the time for me to leave everything I know behind.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. That song is from People Are Strange by The Doors, which I am bringing out today in honor of Mr. The Doors, Val Kilmer, who spent, 2 years of his life, wasted maybe 2 years of his life, impersonating Jim Morrison to the extent that Jim Morrison's own bandmates couldn't tell the difference between his singing and the original Jim Morrison's singing over their own goddamn songs.
What a kick in the pants for Jim Morrison.
No, well, he drank and drugged himself to death, so what does he care anymore, right? But yes, we are here today in honor of Mr. Val Kilmer, who made a bunch of movies. Some of them good, some of them strange, some of them bad, all of them with that extra Val Kilmer special sauce that only he had at his disposal. And today we are going to be talking about a Val Kilmer movie. No, not that one. No,
Which one?
Not the other one. No, not that one that you're thinking of.
Oh, darn
No,
it.
and not that one either. Not the third one. Nope. Maybe the fourth one. Probably not, though. You're probably thinking of Top Secret as the fourth one, but it's the fifth one that maybe you'd be thinking about.
The
which
Saint?
Is
The Saint. Yes.
The Saint. Do you like movies about nerds? Well, the 1980s sure did. These once nameless pencil necks and Poindexters who floated in and out of the sidelines of films as punchlines and wedgie victims suddenly found themselves in the spotlight in the mid-1980s with films such as The Goonies, Revenge of the Nerds, Weird Science, and 1985's Val Kilmer and the Kid with the Worst Hair on Earth vehicle, Real Genius. Also starring professional asshole William Atherton as the haughty Professor Jerry Hathaway.
In top form.
In top form, prime asshole form. John Grease, I think is how you say his name, or John Grise.
Yeah, Uncle Rico.
Yeah, aka Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, as off-the-charts genius, shut-in, and master Frito-Lay prize winner Laszlo Holyfeld, and Robert Prescott from Nothing Else You've Ever Heard Of as classic rich entitled dickhead Kent. Directed by Martha Coolidge, who has a decent resume, and written by Neil Israel, Pat Proft, and PJ Toro Kvai, who have pretty terrible resumes, including all those Police Academy movies, Bachelor Party,
It's a mixed
Moving
bag.
Violation, and Look Who's Talking. This movie set out to make nerds not just the heroes of the story, but actually cool. So, guys, did it succeed?
Yeah, lasers.
I don't know. I mean, this is like a movie that everyone kind of slept on. I feel like it really is kind of a cult classic.
Yeah.
In that it's just like, it's not on everybody's radar. It's not even when you think of Val Kilmer. It's not. I mean, you spoke to this. It's like,
Yeah.
it's way down the list on what you would
Right.
think of.
You think of Top Gun,
but I
Top
was-
Gun Maverick,
This is like
Tombstone.
the first time I've seen this movie in, I don't even know how, since I was a kid.
Totally.
And it was really funny because Real Genius and Top Secret, hopefully I'm not misremembering this. It doesn't really matter if I am or not, but I seem to recall we had both of these pirated on the same VHS tape, Top Secret and Real Genius. And so
Wow.
I just remember as a kid, like these two movies completely connected in my brain. The first two, like real Val Kilmer movies, and just watching them over and over and over again. So again, I must have like seen this movie a dozen times
Yeah.
or more as a kid, but not since then. So there was a ton of like I forgot this scene. I forgot this scene. And then they're going to burn a hole right through campus. Oh, I completely, this was
Yeah.
buried in the depths of my brain. And I never thought about it again until seeing it. So it was kind of a delight to to revisit all those. But yeah,
So-
I don't know if it really changed the world there.
So since you've seen it so many times on VHS and then have now seen it again, would you care to take a crack at recounting to our listeners who may have not seen this movie or may have not seen this movie since they watched it on VHS all those years ago? What
Okay,
the fuck
so-
is this about?
If I recall, the plot is that Jack Black gets sucked into the overworld.
No,
And,
no,
a la Tron.
That's the Minecraft movie.
Oh shit! Okay,
that's
I'm sorry.
brand new. Come on.
Okay, so
We can't talk about all the bad movies.
hold on, I got to cue this up because I can't remember who anyone's fucking name is. So, let's see. And IMDb doesn't put anyone in any order that makes sense.
Well, because they do it like the movie. The movie
Mitch.
does it in
All right, there we
appearance order, and which
All
is
right,
the
so-
worst.
Mitch is a super genius. He's 15 years old. He's blowing all the kids out of the water at his local high school in the science fair. And he gets like a full ride scholarship to, I don't know, Caltech-esque university through their like physics program.
Smartsylvania University.
Yeah, super asshole. William Atherton, Professor Jerry Hathaway, had him on his radar and gives him a full ride to ostensibly to like join his team because they're working on this big physics project to overpower a laser. So Mitch arrives. He knows all the people by name because they're like legendary in the science community. But Val Kilmer plays Chris Knight, who is a senior, and he has gone through the phases of being a super genius in the beginning, and now he's this sort of like really just laid back, couldn't really
Slacker.
give a shit, devil may care super genius who walks around with bunny slippers and I Heart Toxic Waste t-shirts and is still smarter than everybody combined. And so he's sort of jaded and just, you know, drinking his way through things and throwing parties and freezing hallways, and you know, hilarity ensues. And so it turns out that the program that they're working on is actually being funded by the military-esque. I don't know. It really kind of seemed like a shadow government
Super
that was
military,
behind it.
yeah.
It wasn't even like the CIA. It was like this, like the deep state where they're just like straight up, oh, you don't want to work on this program? Well, we're going to liquidate you when you walk out that door.
We're gonna kill the one black guy that got this much security
Seriously.
to come up here.
Yeah, really nefarious shit going down. So the point is that they're trying to build this space laser that they can project. Was it Arrowhead?
Sure.
Crossbow. That was it.
Crossbow. That's it. Yeah.
Project Crossbow to be able to vaporize. So you have a super overpowered laser and a really shiny mirror, and with that you can focus in and just
Shiny.
pinpoint accuracy vaporize anyone you want to. Crack beers, head home, let's go, let's party. US is gonna just destroy the Soviet Union. I guess, I don't know. Although at the time it seems like they were vaporizing like, you know, Nicaraguan drug lords or something like that. I think that's what they were.
It was a dark-skinned fellow on a
Yeah.
chair in some sort of palatial mansion with a bartender.
It had a
next to him.
Caribbean feel to it, I want to say.
Yeah,
But,
it's sort of a Banana Republic dictator.
so it's really Mitch trying to like he's getting burnt. He's getting burnt out a little bit. Like he doesn't really. It's a fish out of water scenario. He's 15. He doesn't belong in college. But really, Chris Knight takes him underneath his wing and sort of helps him realize that, you know, really studying way too much of college is for squares, and you're going to burn out, and you're going to end up like Laszlo, Uncle Rico, living in the closet, a recluse, completely burned out and no good to anybody. And then eventually they figure out that the military is actually bankrolling this, and the everything they're working on is meant to kill people, and so they rebel in hilarious fashion to commit a number of treasketous acts in order to do that. They sneak onto an Air Force base, kind of bullshit their way through, sneak onto a bomber, switch out. Dude, there's a whole lot of like chip switching.
You gotta switch the chips.
Which at the time, when I was a kid, it just seemed so easy. Like, oh, you just move it from there to there.
Move the chip and then the other chip, and then they have a chip that you
Yeah.
want there. Yeah.
So they, the climax is that they screw up the test that the professor Jerry Hathaway is running through the military to prove that this technology works, and so he can get his payday and declare it a success and not get liquidated. I imagine by changing the coordinates to a target that the military had designated to Jerry Hathaway's own house, which they had set up with a booby trap to fill with Jiffy Pop popcorn, exploding his house to the delight of all the neighborhood children.
Yeah, and because he hates popcorn too.
Oh, he hates popcorn.
They point that out earlier in the movie.
Foreshadowing.
Val Kilmer has popcorn, and he says, "Get that away from me! I hate popcorn. I hate the smell of it." Yeah. Well wrapped up there. Yeah, it's the only movie I could think of that with the climax of the movie is a man's expensive house exploding with popcorn, the force of popped corns, and children running and eating the corn as it spills out of his house. And,
I think when we first suggested this movie, Brian was like, "Is that the popcorn movie?"
Yep.
The Jiffy Pop.
It is memorable for that. And I did remember watching this on cable and just watching it anytime it came on and just being like, if Real Genius is on, I'm going to watch Real Genius. And we loved the popcorn scene. A guy's house explodes in popcorn and he's a dick. So, he deserved it.
Come-POP-ance. Come-POP-ance.
Come-POP-ance.
I remembered nothing about this movie aside from the beginning and the end. I remember the frozen hallway thing, and then I remember the Jiffy Pop at the end.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I know what this movie is, but the middle part, I don't remember anything around.
Yeah.
I do remember the what had happened when they do end up figuring out how to overpower the laser, and it like shoots across the campus and burns a hole and everything.
Yeah.
I remember that part, but other than that, I kind of remember the plot was, kind of muddy in a weird way, like where Val Kilmer's character is trying to get a job, or he's going to get a job he's going to graduate and get a job given to him by Jerry Hathaway. And then,
he's set up in this plum position.
Yeah.
That
And then
Hathaway's promised him. Yeah.
And so like he pulls the rug out from under him when he says he can't do it. And then then
he's going to give the job to Kent.
Kent, who seems not very good at in the team.
A giant man with braces and tremendously thick glasses. Like you just can't believe how thick the glasses are. And see, now we've spoken before,
which is a disability. Let's not make fun of him because of his poor eyesight. Come on, 80s, do better.
Yeah, well, that's what they did. I mean, you have to have archetypes in these movies, and I will say for 80s movies, which loved archetypes and loved making fun of people who have archetypical, features. This movie is pretty light on the offensive shit. I was like, oh, it's going to have all kinds of offensive shit, like those John Hughes movies where the Asian kid is like, this horrible, like, ding, 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 fucking stereotype. Yeah. And like the guy Ick, who's the Asian, like one of the leads in the movie, is just like, hey man, I know how to do stuff. I can make like ice in the hallway. I can help you with some of the pranks. I know a bunch of stuff. He's a normal fucking character. Yeah. He's a normal fucking person who happens to live in California, and he's Asian, and he's not from Asia, dropped from a plane into California. It's like, imagine that people who live here that just talk like American kids from California.
There is some problematic shit in this. The older woman coming in to seduce a 15-year-old.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
who she stated, I've waited 3 years for this, which means
I know
she was grooming him or just on the lookout for him since he was 12, which is a bit fucked up. So
it's totally fucked up. But it's like, it's one of these, paradoxes where like, the genders are flipped. So it's okay. Yeah. Right. And these movies where it's like, it's okay to be a predator against young male children, you see, because she's a woman.
It's the 80s.
Yeah. But I will say, I prefer that to if it was a man and saying that to a 15-year-old girl, I would shut the movie off at that point and be like, I think we're done. I think we're going to watch something else.
Yeah, that was such a, like, out of left field subplot to
It was
where
very weird.
I jumped into our chat and was like, maybe I missed something, but why is there a woman in his room? Like,
Yeah.
it made no sense. I was like,
Yeah.
huh? I'm like, who is that? And then I get that it's like the plot mechanism to get him to then profess his affection for Jordan or something. It forces that angle, but it's also very bizarre that this grown woman is just chilling in his room. I was like, how did I miss this? Like, who is that?
Yeah. And I must say, Jordan, like, I think maybe the textbook definition of the manic pixie dream girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's got the pixie haircut and she's manic as hell. She's just
Could not be more manic.
Yeah, in overdrive at all times. And that one, I was like, why did they make her 19? She like has sex with a 15-year-old boy. She's like, I'm 19, and la la la. And you're like, could you not be though for the movie?
They don't
Could we
like
pretend you're 16 or 17?
Did they ever take it that far? They just like kiss.
They have sex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't.
He's like, I wanted it to be with you, and then
It's assumed, but yeah, they don't show it.
To me, it is entirely implied that they
right.
had sex
Okay.
in that scene that we don't see.
I thought it just cuts away. I'm like, whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, no one wants to see that kid kissing anyone anyway.
I said this to Joshua. I was like, is there a more like pre-pubescent teen in an 80s movie than this kid? Like,
he's the goofiest looking bastard I think I've seen in a movie.
He looks like he's 13 or
kind
something.
of anywhere. I'm like, I think like you'd have to put makeup and prosthetics on someone to make them that look that goofy. In most movies, like, the fucking haircut is the stupidest haircut I've ever seen in my life.
I think he's well cast though. I mean,
I know.
You believe he is
Totally.
a 15-year-old college
No
kid
trouble
who's like,
believing it. Yeah, and he does a good job. I'm being hard. I'm being a dick, but like, they make him look super goofy. And I was like, he did a good job though. Like, he actually does a nice job as a kid who's serious minded but persuadable. Like you sort of believe toward the end when like he gets sucked into the hijinks and they're like, we gotta get revenge on Kent. He's like, okay, like it's a believable switch to him being like, okay, now I'm seeing that you can't just play by the rules all the time or you're gonna go fucking crazy. People will always screw you over. So he has a believable little shift, and he doesn't shift too much. He doesn't become like a wild man or something. It's not like Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, thankfully.
I feel like this movie learned a little something from Revenge of the Nerds. Like they watched it and were like, we could avoid some of these stereotypes. We could avoid these like total personality switches where like they suddenly become like raving wild dudes,
Yeah, that's a good point. I think they do a good job of making him intelligent, but not like super nerdy. Yeah, like he wears a sports jacket and he carries a briefcase, but he's not like Poindexter-y wearing glasses.
Totally.
It's like, oh, he's just like a normal kid that's just really smart. So that when he meets other kids, he kind of matures and he's like, oh, okay, like I'm not a total, like he's not totally weird.
Right.
He just doesn't fit in. He's just young. So it's like once he kind of pals around with Val Kilmer, he kind of like, he's like, okay, like he stops wearing the suits and all that sort of stuff.
He gets a little normalized.
Yeah, he just sort of like calms down a little bit.
Whereas like Revenge of the Nerds, people were literally like,
exactly. It's like, they're like,
that's not a person.
Like absolute mutants.
That's not a person at all. It's a fucking joke.
They're just like stereotypes of stereotypes.
I know. It's like they got tape in the glasses, and his hair's like sticking up like fucking, one of the Little Rascals, or like. No.
They're actually wearing pocket protectors. Like,
yeah, totally. Yeah. It's like, no fucking way. Yeah. These are not people. Yeah.
That being said, I will say
have seen a picture of a nerd once, but
we drew some sketches and then made a movie.
I think that's one point I was going to make on this one is that it's actually interesting to have kind of a quote unquote nerd comedy, but there's no like alpha male other, it's just like amongst their own little group there's Kent, and they're kind of, like you said, they're kind of just jerks and not jerks. And it's not like the jocks,
right?
Which is like every one of these movies is like the nerds versus the jocks or something,
right.
Like,
well, it's funny because like Val Kilmer is a classic jock, right? Like he looks like a jock. He could get ladies. He talks like a jock. He's a prankster. He's like a classic asshole from the other fraternity. But in this movie, he's one of them, and it isn't also made a big deal of, right? Like no one's like, oh my God, Chris Knight, he's the cool guy. He's just like one of the weirdos. Everyone's just weird. in their own way.
And the way they explain that is because he spent his freshman and sophomore year as a complete nerd.
Totally.
But he had a turning point, and he's like,
spaces out, and he's like, I got to take mushrooms and be a little more strange. I think one of the scenes that's kind of emblematic of the tone of this movie, which I kind of enjoy, is when they knock Kent out with the gas, and they're in the hallway with gas masks on, and they have a tube under the door, and it's just like this big tank going under someone's door, and a kid walks down, and you're like, oh shit, and the kid just like looks down and is like, hey, keeps walking. It's like
it's totally normal,
not even unusual, and like
must be Thursday.
Well, yeah, and then when the other kid goes nuts in the library and just starts going,
such a good scene. I love that.
Yeah,
and like freaks out and runs away. No one even reacts. They just like, one guy gets up and takes his.
I like
seat.
that. He like takes his. He's like, seat's open.
Oh, seat open at the table. Yeah, all right. Kind of another one bites the dust. And it's funny because when I moved to Chicago, I stayed for a month at the University of Chicago, which is famous for its, sort of outsider students, kids who are super geniuses, especially in math and, physics and stuff like that, languages. And I just hung out with all these dudes who were like, they would have fit into this dorm. A bunch of them would have, they would watch like Party of Five, all these like massive brainiac intellectuals would watch Party of Five, and just, they like doing dumb person stuff for fun. You know what I mean? Like,
are you trying to say Party of Five's not for intellectuals?
It is not.
Was that what college was like for you guys?
No.
Yes. Yeah.
We were not that smart, and we did a lot more drinking.
I went to a state school, so obviously no.
No.
Yeah, this is sort of a not forgotten 80s movie, but it's definitely not in the upper level of the Breakfast Clubs of the world. Weird Science is a good parallel because I love that movie. I don't dislike this one. I think Weird Science is better, but maybe not better. It's funnier to me.
I like this one better than Weird Science.
What? I think Weird Science has less science in it.
That's true. Yeah, it's not real
creepy
science. But
speaking of like older women trying to fuck kids, like
damn,
Kelly the Rock is like, yeah, I've got to make it with both of you nerds. You're like, what? Why?
Come
on,
she's
like,
Ethan.
I'm going to gift you some girlfriends. Okay.
You wear bras on your heads.
Yeah.
They make a girl. Come on, that's just.
I feel like that movie has more of the like than this one.
But how great is Bill Paxton as Chet?
He's funny. He's a good asshole. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I guess that's a good parallel. But yeah, this movie, I don't know if any of the shit they were saying is right or true, but it sounded fine. Like they're like,
oh, it doesn't matter.
Blow up bromide and
totally. It doesn't matter at all.
Like, whatever. I don't know. That sounds smart.
Yep. And I think at the center of it is Val Kilmer. And the real genius appears to be the kid at first, the new kid, and you're like, oh, he's the real genius. And then, it is about like this kind of lost genius who like lost his desire to even fucking do any of this stuff anymore. Like he gets fired up again, and he like rediscovers his own, genius, and breaks through and builds this thing that no one thinks that anyone could build. But like at the center of it is Val Kilmer and his performance. And he died recently, and we're reevaluating all the stuff that he did, like, the Doors and Tombstone and stuff like that, where you're just like, wow, he was so intense. He's really fun in this movie. He's just a fun fucking character.
He's got a great script.
Yeah.
Just so many zingers and one-liners and little jokes, but even his like physical acting is just like, it's subtle when it needs to be subtle, and it's really over the top when it needs to be really over the top. It's just a fucking out of the gates, guns blazing with Top Secret and then Real Genius. It's crazy career trajectory.
I remember I read this thing from Brian Grazer, the director or the producer of this, and he was casting this role, and he was like, I probably saw 250 people for this. And to be honest with you, Val Kilmer's performance didn't even stand out. I didn't really remember him, but he waited outside for all the auditions to be done for 3 hours, and I came out, and without saying anything, he just slipped into the elevator next to me, and he started doing this coin trick on his fingers, and he did it all the way down and didn't say anything, and then left the elevator doing the coin flip thing on his fingers. And I was like, that's fucking something. He was like, I'm picking that guy, and he went back and picked him. And then he does it in the movie. They have that scene in the classroom where he's doing the coin flip over all of his fingers. And I feel like that is the quality that this character has and needs. That's certain, just like quiet confidence. You can wear bunny slippers and antennae on your head and still hit on a lady that's out of your, out of your age zone. And like, you can talk to a senator. He just bounces around, not really caring. And that's why, in part, he's so successful. He just like really doesn't care.
Or he's hitting on her and she's like, can you pound a nail through a board with your penis? And he's like, not right now. So cool.
The whole time he's like, have you ever seen a body like that? He's like, that happens to me, my daughter. And he's like, oh, I guess you have. You really get the idea that he doesn't give a fuck. But then his character becomes more interesting when there suddenly become stakes. When Jerry's like, you're out. You're not going to graduate. I'm not giving you the job. Fuck off. I've had enough of you. And he's suddenly like, you can't fucking do this. He gets a little more real. And it makes it more interesting. Like when he has stakes, like when he freaks out, when Kent fucks up the laser and it blows up and he thought he had it and he smashes the fridge and the eureka moment happens. That's real shit that he's going through. Like he's been breezing through his life, joking about everything. And then like it takes real stakes and real consequences for him to kind of snap out of it.
I think Mitch is sort of a pseudo catalyst to that in a way, like, but in a way of like giving him someone to work with or like to push him a little bit. But yeah, he definitely kind of like finds his stride when someone fucks him over. Like, it's like, oh, either anger is the adversity or something, but yeah, otherwise he was just kind of coasting.
Overconfidence of someone who knows how much smarter he is than everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Where he's like, but he doesn't do it as if he's like a total dick about it.
Yeah, he's not arrogant. Like, he's just
super
confident. Yeah.
He just doesn't care anymore either, too. Like it's why it doesn't seem arrogant, because he's just like, it's fucking meaningless. It's nonsense. Whether who's smartest. He's like, he knows the whole time there's a guy in the basement who cracked up, who's smarter than both him and Mitch put together. He says it to Mitch, he's smarter than you and me combined. But he knows what he doesn't want to be. Like, he doesn't know what he wants to be, but he definitely has learned what he doesn't want to be.
And I do like that they go about it where he befriends Mitch. I mean, I think Jerry Hathaway asked him to put him under his wing, but like when he meets him, he's not like standoffish of like, I'm Chris, the big smart guy, and you're this nerdy little young kid. He's like, he's normal. Like, he's like, oh, okay. Like they room together and he like becomes friends with him. He's not like a total standoffish dick. Like he tries
unpacks his bags for him.
Yeah, exactly. Great point. Yeah. He's like, oh, I unpacked your shit. Like, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So. And I like how they rub off on each other, but not in like that 80s movie way where like Mitch starts dressing like him and being like cool guy and like riding a skateboard or something. Mitch just decides like here and there to let his hair down a little bit, his awful hair down a little bit and loosen up a little bit.
But let's talk about Kent's dickie that he's wearing.
Oh, his dickie. God.
Yeah. Kent is a good asshole. We talked about in Super Troopers, like you were like, oh, Farva is a great asshole, and I'm like, no, he's unwatchable to me. But like Kent is, I think, a great asshole.
It's pretty crazy how by the end of the movie you almost feel bad for him. He's such a dick throughout the entire thing, but it's for reasons that are explained pretty well. Like he's a suck up because he's in line to like be in charge of the project, and then when he gets rejected, he just like spirals. Yeah, and then they set him up to like be blown up with the popcorn, but not really. They just want him to be like, get some shrapnel from it. They didn't want him to get killed. But when he starts to like walk into the house, they like, no, Kent, no, because they really don't want to kill him.
Yeah.
But I think that's like telling that his character arc sort of veers a little bit where he was used by the system as well.
Yeah.
He sort of leaned into it, but he was used. So.
I like how they don't try that hard not to kill him, though. He goes in the house that's going to have a death laser hit it, and they're like, Kent, no. Oh, well.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess maybe he'll die. We walk in, and there's just a dickie on the floor, then you'll know.
Yeah, you feel bad for Kent at the end, and then but one thing I thought was kind of interesting is that despite the fact that he's kind of a dick and they goof on him and then like he screws up the project and stuff, like he's still engaged in certain scenes where they're working. He's still in the group, like doing stuff, trying to help them. Yeah. But then he goes and like fucks it all by smudging the laser or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, well, why are you still helping? Like, what a dick.
I know. He just hates Chris Knight. You know, he's just like, I want to fuck this guy over because he's getting all the brownie points now, you know, and he's going to get credit for this thing. He's going to win. I have to fuck him up. And that scene where he's like, you know, at least he's honest about being an asshole. You know, he's just like, sorry about your meltdown. And he's like, what meltdown, Kent? And he's like, oh, I mean, you know,
if you had one.
If you had one. I'm not saying you did, but if you did, you know, he's like saying he did it right there. You kind of get the idea that he's a dick because he doesn't feel like he's good enough. Like he's not as smart as the rest of the kids. He's not as qualified as the rest of the kids. If he doesn't cheat, he's not going to fucking get ahead, basically. Oh, we didn't talk about Jesus.
Oh,
Dan?
Jesus,
is that you?
One of the best lines. He's like, "Are you
Stop
playing with yourself again?" He's like,
yourself.
"Yes, I mean no." That's one of the best.
It is like, Jesus.
I do love that scene where they gas him and they just tip his head back and just put shit in his mouth, and you're like, this is so unethical.
Yeah. Are you touching
so
yourself?
Very
Kent?
Unethical. And you're like, how dumb is Kent to believe that it's really God in his fucking head?
He does this weird thing with his hands when the laser hits it. He's like, oh,
yeah, I know. He bends one back.
Yeah, he's like this weird orgasmic moment of like, oh, I'm like, what the fuck is that?
He's being raptured, man.
It's really funny.
Creeping his pants.
Man, I can't believe we didn't talk about that. But yeah, that shit with Jesus and Kent's braces is weird as fuck.
I wonder if in the backstory, like Kent and Chris Knight were friends, like their freshman year, but then they had a falling out because Val Kilmer's character was like, "I'm done with this shit. I'm going to be a jokester from here on out."
See, that's the prequel that no one wants.
Yeah,
that's why prequels are always bad, because they would do that story, and you'd be like, "It's terribly uninteresting."
Yeah, we find out how Boba Fett comes around.
Yeah, exactly.
We can see at what age Kent got his braces. We don't know.
His dad yelled at him, and that's why he's mean. You know, like, who cares? You know.
So I don't understand how they got his car into his dorm room.
No way. There's no way.
That never bothered me when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I just thought, that's funny. But then I was like, no.
There's no way in hell they did that.
Unless the fourth wall was removed.
Yeah, or something.
And you're just not showing it. Yeah.
Oh, I figured that out.
You can't park here, right?
How did they do it? It was on hydraulics? What the fuck was that? How would they get it in his slender dorm room?
Movie magic, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I mean, there's a whole system of catacombs and.
I mean, they made ice that turned to gas and might explode.
I believe that easier, because then at least you don't know how that would work. They don't explain it, and he's like, yeah, argon, boron, etc. And you're like, yeah, I don't fucking know. He made ice that turns into gas when it's done. But you're like, I know what a car is, and I know what a wall is, and you can't like fudge that shit. You have to get a car through a wall, and the wall is still there, and I don't know. I guess they would have to take the entire car apart. If they'd shown them with wrenches or something, and then you'd be like, well, that's totally unbelievable, but at least...
Like if the entire plot of the movie was about coming up with a plan to put his car in the room.
Right.
I could believe that.
Yeah, right.
That's how complicated it would be.
If they marshaled all their resources for that.
It's one prank.
I will say, in high school, the high school building had a courtyard in it that was surrounded on all sides by walls. And for the senior prank, they got a car into the courtyard. And I don't know how they fucking did that. And that was just my high school, and no one was particularly a genius there.
I would assume a crane.
Maybe there are methods. Yeah, who got the crane? What high school kid rented a crane? I don't know.
Crane. Yeah.
A kid with a lot of gumption. That's what.
A lot of gumption or pulleys. A lot of kids with pulleys. I don't know.
Well, can someone answer this? Was it successful upon its release?
It made more money than it spent.
Okay.
I think it did okay, and I think they probably made more money off of cable reruns.
I mean, my family didn't contribute to it because we pirated it and had it on VHS.
Yeah,
but-
you
This-
bastards.
This movie is ripe for US channel, the USA cable network.
Oh, totally.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Up
Yeah,
all night.
up all night.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I must say, like, as the movie progresses, I got to like the characters and scenarios so much that I was able to more gently turn off my brain for the absurdly unbelievable shit that happens in the last, I'd say, 20 minutes of the movie, where you're like, a kid with a paste-on mustache and a Peugeot that they stole from a nerd on campus isn't going to break into a top secret military base because Val Kilmer was like, "Hey man, do us a solid." and
One day you're going to be in the private sector.
I know, right?
One day
although,
Doge is going to come and totally fuck up your job, right?
Doge.
So,
although I do like that right after that scene when the car drives away and the guards come into the booth and one guard puts the phone down and says, "Yeah, they said to watch out for anything unusual." And he's like, "Okay then."
he's like what?
Yeah,
That was totally normal.
that was
A big yellow car that was obviously shoved into some kid's dorm room.
I know.
It is now magically outside the dorm
magically
room.
outside. See, they got it in, they got it out. These kids are magic.
This
So-
fucking car.
Yeah, so when they get in the plane, you're like, "Oh, what a crock of bullshit!" And then the Jiffy Pop, you're like, "Are there 700,000 pounds of unpopped corn kernels in that little bin?"
Also, the laser has stopped
Details.
and it's
The
still
laser
popping.
stops, and it would just blow through it and into the ground and like melt it's the way to the center of the
No.
earth or something.
No, they put a crystal thingy in the window.
the crystal thing would just get burned through, right?
No, that's what stopped it because of science.
Science.
I thought that was just supposed to make it kind of like
refract.
refract
Oh, it
in a way.
refracts it.
Yeah,
Maybe it
that
refracts it.
Distributed it out so that it's not so hot, but hot
Dissipates
enough to pop
the
your pop.
intensity of the sun, because he's like, that's hotter than the sun.
So I don't know if either of you have ever made Jiffy Pop,
I have.
but
Yeah, totally.
it requires some jiggling. So you need
a
to
little
shake
bit of
it.
jiggling. You got to shake it. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's really feasible. I think it would just probably do nothing.
It would just melt
burn.
right through the
That one section of
foil.
the popcorn would pop and then nothing else.
I mean, it cut through an entire statue after
I mean, that's
going through an
it's just-
entire building
I mean,
and some trees. So I think the tin foil probably wouldn't hold up to the laser that's hotter than the sun, nor would the kernels of corn within it.
Yeah. It's just popcorn physics 101.
Yeah, we did that. We studied that in high school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was a good class. Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
I majored in it. Kernel science.
Kernel science. Yeah, it's
I have a
it's well known
in,
fact.
PhD in popping.
Just get a laser and a big Mr. Turtle pool full of corn.
Secret.
Pop Secret. This movie should have been sponsored by Pop Secret.
I think
Ahead of their time.
isn't Brian Grazer one of the producers of Arrested Development?
I hope so.
I think
I
he
hope
is,
so.
because they have a Pop Secret,
The Pop Secret joke,
extended Pop Secret joke.
You're not my father.
It's a Pop Secret in Arrested Development. Michael Cera would have fit into this movie too.
Oh, absolutely.
If he were
If
of
this was
age
made-
when this was
Yeah,
made,
if this was made in
he would have
2005.
fit right in. Yeah.
Michael Cera would have been there.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
would have been a
absolutely.
good Ick. The Asian kid. That would be a good
His
character.
name was Ick? What? What?
I did like the Ick kid. The Ick
Spell
kid was
it.
a fun
Ick?
character. What?
Like-
ICK? Oh, it's short for like a longer
Ichabod?
name. No, it's a
Ichabod,
Japanese.
total.
It's a Japanese name. It's Ikawana, Ikamura. I don't know. It was something like that. I looked at the credits for like a half second, but I was like, Ick was a good character. That was a fun character. I think Laszlo is a fun character. The guy who lives in the basement, Uncle Rico, who lives in the basement and is a
Yeah.
genius. He's got a really gentle way about him in the movie, which is kind of fun, and it just kind of really balances a lot of the other loony characters. I was like, I enjoyed the hell out of Laszlo in this movie. And I remember when we watched this on a regular basis, we'd always loved Laszlo.
It always bothered me that when Mitch like figures out how to get into the secret tunnels in the closet, that the little roller coaster car minecart dropping down into the shaft is loud as fuck.
Yeah.
It is so rickety and loud, and yet Laszlo doesn't hear it. Like he's like 30 feet away down a tunnel on his computer, and yet Mitch somehow sneaks up and like after going down these mine shafts.
I thought about that too. He kind of wants people to engage with him. Like he keeps coming into the room when they're there and slipping past them, but he'll look at people. And I wouldn't be surprised if he knew that Mitch was there and was like, if he talks to me, I'll talk to him.
Fair point.
If he doesn't talk to me, I don't really care. I'm not scared of him.
Objection withdrawn.
That's just what they call flow state. He's just down there grinding.
Is that flow state?
But yeah, I think that the gag that's funny at the beginning is no one knows if like Laszlo's real. Like if they're just making like if Mitch is seeing something
too,
So I think that's kind of funny. It's like, is he just like a figment of my head? Like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden he talks like, oh, he's fucking real. Like, you know?
And then when he talks, he's just, it's funny because you expect him to be like, you know, and he's just like, yeah, well, I just realized that, you know, if I do enough of these prizes, I'll probably win 32.4% of the prizes from the Frito-Lay competition.
He's going to grow 5 inches in the next year.
That's a great line. He's a good kid. And he's going to grow 5 inches in the next year. Yeah, I feel like this movie has a lot of good one-liners that I don't remember in a lot of the other movies these guys wrote, because I've seen a bunch of them. I've seen Moving Violations. I've seen Police Academy movies. I've seen Bachelor Party. I've seen Look Who's Talking. There are a lot of dumb, cheap jokes in those movies. There are a lot of sort of dad jokes that you know, Val Kilmer's character says in this one, but they're not terrible. And
the Socrates joke. Mwah.
Yeah,
I laughed. I totally forgot about that line.
I missed that. What was
the words
my
of Socrates?
Ass off.
I drank what?
The way he delivered it too, it was just so, he's like, look at the stars. He's like, he's just contemplating the immortal words of Socrates. I drink what? That's the joke.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Killed
it.
it.
I like the way he delivers basically everything in this movie. He's very charming in this movie. You know, when he's like, you know, it's a moral imperative. You know, when he's trying to get him to get back at Kent.
You know, I obviously have not seen every Val Kilmer movie, but I can't think of another Val Kilmer movie other than Willow, where he has this sort of like madcap like part about him, where he's like, you know, there are scenes in Willow where he like tosses Willow up in the air and he's like rolling around and being crazy. He's like, I feel better, and just like sort of lunacy about him. Like even like Top Secret, he's a serious character in a very silly movie. Like he plays it very straight. It's such a good role for him that I didn't really see repeated anywhere else in his career.
And it's funny because, like, you know, when he died and they did all these in memoriam things and show clips, like they didn't show clips from these early movies when he was like this. They showed Tombstone. They showed The Doors. They showed Top Gun, of course. And when they showed Top Gun, I was like, this guy was such a fucking movie star that, like, if you asked AI to create a Hollywood movie star, if it created Val Kilmer in Top Gun, you'd be like, too far, buddy. You know, like they showed him the aviator glasses on and like the chiseled face and everything. I'm like, he's like the ultimate Hollywood leading man. And then as soon as he did Top Gun, he was like, blow it up. I don't want to be this guy at all. Like, you know, kind of Johnny Depp, like he's like, I'd rather be interesting.
Yeah, he never, it's weird to say didn't become a giant movie star because he was a movie star, but he was, you know, I think closest to that doing of something where a movie star would do that's corny was like, he was like in Batman, like, and you're like, and it seemed totally out of place for him to be like in Batman, you know, something like, which I'll admit I've never seen The Doors. I should see that. But,
I haven't seen The Doors either. Yeah,
I think I saw it when it came out. But I haven't seen it since.
Is that an Oliver Stone movie?
Yes, an Oliver Stone movie. Yeah.
I don't recall whether it does a good job of making The Doors seem like they don't suck. Because The Doors really suck. So
I don't hate the Doors. Everyone I know hates the Doors. I don't hate the Doors.
No.
I got sick of the Doors because I went through a phase in high school.
Yes. That's it. I'm in that boat. It's like I think they're a very good band, but they've been overplayed to death, and I can't listen to them anymore. So we're off track.
We're very off
totally
track.
Yeah. As we like to get. Is there anyone else we want to talk about before we go into the gradings of this? Like we talked briefly about Manic Pixie Dream Girlfriend.
She was really good in this too, and like the poster child for ADHD medication.
Totally, yeah.
Was it me or like when you first meet her, it's like super over the top, and they kind of even her out in the middle to the end. At first she's kind of wacky at the very beginning.
I think it's like she gets really nervous around people, and then when she gets to know them, she calms down a little. You know,
the scene where it's the middle of the night and she's sanding her floor.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice it when I was a kid, but that really stuck out to me as an adult. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
knock it off.
I don't sleep. That
doesn't mean you can't make everybody else sleep. Like, what are you doing? But I really enjoyed her character quite a bit. It turns out that she did like 3 other movies after this, and then just like retired to Canada, I think.
That's interesting.
Which, these days sounds pretty good. Let's all retire to Canada.
It does, yeah.
Greg, you're going to get a kick out of this. We realized the Jordan characters in The Outsiders, she's Cherry's friend when they get a Coke. She's
no way!
Yeah. She hasn't not in a lot of stuff, but she's like next to when Matt Dillon's, hey, we'll get you Coke.
She's the one who like doesn't leave.
She's the friend.
She's like, why don't we hang out with these assholes and just see how it goes?
Got nothing else going on.
Man, wow. Well, this is a real bump for her. She was fun in this movie.
This is a fun movie. I don't know if it really
is this your grading? Are you going to grading?
Wait.
Are you going rogue on grading?
I was gonna go straight. I don't know. I was just feeling it.
Let's grade it.
I was just feeling it, guys.
Okay. Let's say on a scale from let's see.
Can we use Kent's car as one of them?
Yeah.
Or Kent's Dicky can be one.
We'll say Kent's Dicky is an F, and Val Kilmer's combo of bunny slippers, I Love Toxic Waste, and the antennae is an A. Since this is no one's pick and Brian never goes first, I say Brian should go first, especially because you seem
I'll
to be
go first.
What the hell?
Feeling it, man.
I was just gonna say I think it's a fun movie. It doesn't really particularly stick out as this like stellar 80s comedy to me, but it's like classic cable TV canon. It's not crass. There's no nudity. There's no like obvious things in it that make it super terrible, aside from the weird adult lady. Which, did she think he was 18? Whatever. She says, I've been waiting 3 years,
like,
and
he's still not legal at all.
Yeah.
I think she works at a university. I assume she can count.
Okay.
I know.
So,
because most freshmen are 18 years old, so maybe she thought he was 18.
That's true. We'll give her the benefit of the doubt. She's only a sort of pedophile.
Like maybe she just doesn't know. I don't know.
Yeah, or something.
But anyways, I feel like it's clean. It's fun. Val Kilmer's really good in it, and the ancillary characters are kind of funny. But he carries this whole thing. I mean, there's just no, without him, this movie's a turd. But excellently cast in terms of just like good looking, tons of charisma, but make him really smart, but also hang with nerds. Like that's a perfect combo. But I would say I'd give it a solid B for the 80s, maybe B-. I feel like it has good rewatch value too. Like if this was on, you're like, I'll leave it on.
Absolutely.
Like, it has good rewatchability for an 80s movie, and they don't have to do much editing and bleeping stuff out. So it's pretty fun, clean 80s comedy. I'd give it a B-.
I'm going to go so far as I'm going to give it a B, slightly above a B-. And I think it's because of Val Kilmer's fashion sense in this movie.
You think he's a trendsetter?
That it's not higher?
The flannel shirt wrapped around diagonally across the chest. That's pretty awesome. Like, I don't know why that didn't catch on in colleges across the world. But
I will say, I was watching the movie and I was like, usually fashion and hair and all that stuff looks horrible. Even like 10 years later, I was like, he actually looks pretty fresh.
Yeah.
His whole look looks kind of fresh the whole
He's
time.
eccentric.
Like, it works the whole time.
Are you saying he has Riz?
He's got Riz. Yeah, he's got Riz then. He's got Riz now. He's got Riz beyond the grave.
I
Forever
think
is.
Val Kilmer is one of those actors, or even just people, that just seems like they're just fucking cool their whole life. Like, they're just like, no matter what this guy did, he was like, yeah, Val Kilmer's still fucking, he's still cooler than I am, no matter what he does.
Never had a zit. Yeah. When he was dying of tuberculosis in Tombstone, he was still a badass. Was his Batman the one with the nipples?
Yeah. I think
No,
so.
that was George Clooney. Clooney's
Really?
Batman had the
Was it
Wasn't he,
Clooney?
who was Batman Forever?
Val Kilmer.
With Riddler and Two-Face.
Tommy Lee Jones is Two-Face.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
horrible.
Holy
Horrible.
fuck.
Oh, it's so bad. Yeah, it's terrible.
And it's the
Damn.
dumbest villain death ever because he's like on the edge of a bridge and Batman turns to him and is like, hey, Two-Face, catch. And he flips a coin and Two-Face goes to grab it and he falls to his death. He fell for a coin?
He fucking Gollum to Mount Doom.
But
He
he's
falls
like,
down Chris.
he's like, oh, a coin. Oh, no. Ah! You're like,
My precious.
what a villain you were.
Anyway, I give it a B.
Yeah.
A B.
A B.
All right.
B's nuts.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
You can't. How many episodes have you used that?
I
in?
know.
Like 4.
Times 2. Yeah, I'm also going to give it a B. I feel like it's just a very enjoyable movie. It's absurd. It's stupid. All the plot points are mostly impossible. You know, they couldn't do any of these things. They couldn't put a car in Kent's room. They couldn't get into a top secret military base and switch out the targeting on a super fancy laser. They couldn't shoot a Jiffy Pop that blows up a guy's house. But who fucking cares? You know, it's
Not with that attitude. You're not.
Val Kilmer's character is so breezy and fun and like just carries you along. You just want to like these people. And I feel like having a female director makes a difference in this movie because it isn't as shitty and awful with tropes and stereotypes as a lot of these 80s movies were, as we talked about earlier. She has a gentler touch. They have that scene with the beauticians where they come in and they're in bikinis and because they have to have one of those scenes in an 80s movie, but they just like tousle each other's hair and fall into the water. And Val Kilmer says a kind of funny joke where he's like, don't eat that. It will make your breasts grow extremely large. And the lady's like, ha, that's funny. And it's like, it was kind of funny. You know,
It's too late.
I know, it's too late. So yeah, I feel like having a woman in charge of an 80s comedy is a benefit. Like she kind of creates a convivial environment for all these weirdos that just works. The whole dorm that they live in just works for some reason because they're all just oddballs and everyone accepts everyone else's oddballery, you know? And even someone like Kent has a place there. They're like, well, we don't really like him, but Kent's still part of the hive. So yeah, that the world that they create is one that I enjoy and it's one that I want to believe in and have work. And so whatever the fuck they do inside that world after they've created it, I don't really care.
Would you send your kid to that college?
I might. Actually, I might.
I wouldn't.
My kids are, you know, we're all a bunch of weirdos. So I don't know. They might fit in.
I'll tell you why, though. The laser. It blasts a hole through the fucking campus and no one cares.
I
It
know.
could have killed somebody.
But it made a funny hole in the burger sign and they got some burgers. And I will say this movie actually did have a subversive side that we didn't talk about where, you know, it does set up this military industrial complex that these kids don't know that they're about to be a part of. And as soon as they realize that they're a part of the military industrial complex and they're going to be responsible for vaporizing people, even maybe awful people, they're like, oh, fuck, we have to fight this. And it's funny. It came back to me about the Baron Munchausen plot of like art, you know, fighting fascism with art, you know, like how your imagination fights fascism. And it's like, I just feel like it's almost like a metaphor where this giant thing of popcorn explodes in this guy's house that like popcorn is just synonymous with like movies and like imagination and like the fact that it's popcorn that explodes this fascist enabler's house. I was like, that's kind of apropos, you know, it kind of has this subversive nature about it and it adds to my enjoyment of the movie.
I never saw it like that, but I like that.
So yeah, I like it for that. And I'll give it a solid B. All right, what are we going to do next week? I'm realizing that we have two major Hollywood people that we have never done an episode on, and I'm going to rectify two of them in the same movie. I'm going to pick In the Line of Fire, which is a Clint Eastwood movie also starring John Malkovich. And we haven't done any Clint Eastwood movies, and we haven't done any John Malkovich movies, and I think we need to rectify that.
That's funny. Both my head and Joshua's head went, huh? Like, we haven't done a Malkovich movie?
I'm just trying to remember if I've seen this. I don't know that I've seen
Oh,
this.
he plays like a
Clint Eastwood is like a Secret Service agent,
Secret Service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and John Malkovich
So we're
is
gonna-
the would-be assassin of the president. Yeah.
We're gonna do a presidential assassination film, huh?
Yes, we are.
Awesome.
Yes, we
It's
are.
a good movie though.
It is a good movie. I've always thought it was kind of a gem, and it did well. But I feel like it isn't one of those movies that everyone's like, oh, In the Line of Fire, it's so good, you know, like Unforgiven. Even though it was made a long time ago, I feel like if you bring up Unforgiven to a certain set of people, they'll be like, oh, Unforgiven, oh, that's so fucking good. But In the Line of Fire,
Is this the one where Harrison Ford throws the person like off the plane?
There's no Harrison Ford.
Oh, is this the one where Kevin Kline has a twin?
There's no Kevin
becomes the
Kline.
president.
There's no Kevin Kline. It also isn't the one where a big white rabbit is following a guy around, Harvey the Big White Rabbit. There's so many movies that it isn't.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably where I went wrong. Okay.
It's the one that's In the Line of Fire.
All right. Well, I
It's
look
that
forward to watching this movie for free on Plex.
Yeah, as do I. Brought to you by our sponsors at Jersey Mike's, who give us free movies on Plex all the time.
A sub above.
So above.
You know what? For all the free publicity we give them, we should.
I know. We should
at least get
get
a
some
mini
episodes. Yeah.
sandwich.
Now we're brought to you by Plex and Jersey Mike's. So we're building on our sponsorship base.
What year was that? 1993 at the Line of Fire. Thriller action. All right. I've seen
That was
this.
the 90s. All right. Out of the 80s, into the 90s.
All right, friends and neighbors. We bid you adieu.
I'm going to go make some Jiffy Pop.
He's got Riz. Yeah, he's got Riz then. He's got Riz now. He's got Riz beyond the grave.